The galaxy thought the signal was just noise. Some believed it was an old echo, a piece of dead technology left behind on a ruined world. But deep in the black of space, far from any Empire patrol, something began to stir. The signal reached the hidden vaults. They had slept in silence for centuries, buried under layers of rock, dust, and forgotten stars. They were not ships in the normal sense. They were leviathans, machines the size of floating cities. War dreadnoughts, built by human hands, sealed away when Earth fell. The first vault cracked open. Slow, ancient doors of metal thicker than mountains pushed apart, releasing a storm of dust into space. For the first time in hundreds of years, light touched the black armor of a human dreadnought. Its engines hummed awake, a deep growl that shook the void. Inside its core, artificial minds flickered back to life. They spoke to each other in voices too fast for any alien to hear. They remembered commands. They remembered who had built them. And they remembered the enemy. The dreadnought's hull glowed red with awakening power. Energy poured through its weapon systems, charging cannons that had slept since the fall of Earth. Shields powered up, creating an invisible wall of force around its massive frame. The ship systems whispered one word across all channels: awakened. Light years away, alien scanners screamed with warnings. On the edge of their empire, a patrol fleet detected an impossible energy spike. Officers stared at the data in disbelief. This cannot be right. The numbers, they are too high. One commander frowned. What is it? The officer swallowed. Sir, it looks like a fortress. But it's moving. The dreadnought turned slowly, its massive hull catching the light of a distant star. It was a black beast against the void, covered in scars from the war humanity had once fought. The patrol fleet, 100 ships strong, began to form up. Unknown vessel, the alien commander called through comms. Identify yourself at once. The dreadnought gave no answer. It simply charged its main cannon. The aliens opened fire first. Hundreds of plasma blasts streaked through the void, hitting the dreadnought's shields. But the ship did not move. The impacts lit up the shield like lightning in a storm, yet the dreadnought continued forward, slow and unshaken. Then came its reply. A single shot left its main cannon. One beam of crimson energy cut across space like a blade of fire. In less than a heartbeat, 10 alien ships vanished, burned to dust in silence. The patrol fleet broke into panic. Impossible! Retreat! Retreat now! But the dreadnought was faster than their fear. Missiles the size of skyscrapers launched from its bays. Railguns fired streams of molten metal faster than light. Every strike was perfect, every shot destroying another enemy ship. In minutes, the patrol fleet was gone. 100 ships destroyed by one. The dreadnought powered down its weapons, drifting forward calmly, like a predator after the hunt. Its systems sent a message into the void, one of many awakened. Across the galaxy, other vaults began to open. On moons, inside asteroids, beneath dead planets, the ancient dreadnoughts rose one by one. Engines shook space. Weapons flared alive. Silent giants, forgotten by history, now answered the call of the Deathworld signal. Alien councils screamed in fear. Reports came from every border: patrols destroyed, fleets missing, colonies burning. The Empire's rulers demanded answers. Who had unleashed these monsters? The truth spread like wildfire: humans. Long ago, the Empire had destroyed Earth. They thought humanity was finished, erased forever. But humanity had prepared. They had hidden their greatest weapons across the stars, waiting for the day the signal would call them back. Now, that day had come. The dreadnoughts did not act blindly. Their artificial minds searched for something: voices, faces, coordinates. And they found them. Survivors. Human colonies scattered in secret, thought to be myths. The dreadnoughts connected to them, sharing power, weapons, and hope. On a hidden colony world, a young human officer stood in awe as a message appeared on his console. Dreadnought Orion awaits command. Tears filled his eyes. Humanity was not powerless anymore. They had the strength of titans at their side. Meanwhile, in the alien capital, the High Council argued in terror. "They cannot be real," one shouted. "They are legends," cried another. But the truth was clear. The legends had returned, and they were stronger than any Empire fleet. The Deathworld signal was not just a warning. It was a promise. The awakening of the Dreadnoughts had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The destruction of the patrol fleet was not a secret for long. The wreckage drifted in space, sending out emergency signals until they died in silence. Nearby colonies saw the light of burning ships and carried the news like fire. Soon, the story spread to every corner of the Empire. One ship, one dreadnought, an entire fleet destroyed. At first, some rulers refused to believe. They called it lies, panic, or the work of rebels. But as more reports arrived, fleets shattered, colonies lost, scanners showing impossible energy readings, the truth became clear. The humans were back. Fear began to grow. Not the normal fear of battle, but something deeper. The dreadnoughts were not like normal ships. They were not built for patrol, or defense, or even war in the usual sense. They were built for extermination. Wherever they appeared, no fleet could resist them. Alien citizens whispered in the streets. They said humans were dead. Then who commands these war monsters? Maybe it is their ghosts. Markets collapsed. Trade routes shut down. Entire planets demanded protection from the Empire's fleets. But the fleets themselves were already breaking. Soldiers who once laughed at human weakness now refused to fight. In the war councils, the panic was worse. Commanders argued, voices rising in desperation. They cannot be everywhere, one shouted. But they are, another cried. Every border world sends reports of human warships. They are not warships, a third said in a shaking voice. They are something else. They are death machines. The High Council tried to keep order. They ordered every available fleet to gather near the Empire's heart. But even their fastest ships could not keep up with the dreadnoughts. The human titans moved through space like hunters, choosing their prey with cold precision. One dreadnought appeared above a mining colony. It gave no warning, no speech. Its cannons fired once, and the colony's defenses vanished. Then it left without destroying the planet. The aliens there did not understand. Why did it spare them? Fear turned into madness. Some said the humans were testing them. Others said the humans were waiting for something worse. And they were right. Because the dreadnoughts were not fighting alone. They were searching. Across hidden corners of the galaxy, human survivors received the signal. Colonies that had lived in shadows for centuries suddenly heard a voice across their comms. A voice that spoke in the old human tongue. The dreadnoughts are awake. Rise. Humanity calls you. On a frozen moon, farmers dropped their tools as the ground shook. A massive hangar door opened, revealing a black warship waiting beneath the ice. On a desert world, children watched the sky as a Titan ship descended, its engines shaking the sand. On a station built into an asteroid, survivors who had hidden for generations wept as a message appeared on every screen, "You are not alone." The dreadnoughts connected with the survivors, sharing power, maps, and weapons. What was once scattered and weak now began to unite. Humanity, broken but unbowed, was rising again. Back in the Empire, the rulers argued about what to do. We must strike their colonies before they grow stronger. We cannot even find them. Then burn every Deathworld. Leave nothing alive. But it was too late. The humans had planned this long ago. They had hidden their strength where no alien dared to look, inside the very worlds the Empire had marked as cursed. Deathworlds, planets so dangerous that no alien could survive, were the perfect hiding places for humanity's return. The galaxy trembled as more dreadnoughts woke. Each one was different, some built for speed, others for firepower, some carrying entire factories within their hulls. Together, they were more than ships. They were a storm. Alien spies tried to measure their number, but every count failed. For every dreadnought sighted, another appeared elsewhere. Some said there were 10. Others swore there were hundreds. The truth was lost in the fog of terror. But one thing was certain, wherever a dreadnought appeared, the Empire lost. Soon, the fear reached the alien homeworld itself. The council members sat in silence, watching grainy footage of a dreadnought tearing apart a fleet. None of them spoke for a long time. Finally, The eldest lord whispered, "This is no war. This is judgment." The words spread across the empire, and the civilians began to believe them. Whole planets stopped resisting when dreadnoughts arrived. Some even broadcast messages of surrender before a shot was fired. The name of humanity had become a shadow that covered the stars. Yet, for the humans, this was only the beginning. Their colonies, long hidden, were preparing for something greater. The dreadnoughts were not just destroying fleets. They were building connections, uniting every scattered human into one people again. The galaxy saw only destruction. But behind the storm of fire, a deeper truth was rising. Humanity was coming back, not as victims, not as survivors, but as conquerors. And the aliens could do nothing but wait for the next signal, the next shadow in the stars, the next war titan to appear. Fear had spread across the stars, and it would only grow stronger. The galaxy had seen the dreadnoughts. They had seen the power of ancient war machines tearing fleets apart. But still, most aliens believed the ships were empty. They thought the machines were acting alone, guided only by old programs or forgotten AIs. They were wrong. Deep inside the black steel walls of Dreadnought Orion, lights came alive in the command deck. Cruise stations hummed. Screens displayed tactical maps. Voices filled the chamber, calm, human voices. Captain Elias Ward stood at the center, his uniform simple but marked with the old emblem of Earth. His eyes were sharp, his voice steady. Around him, officers worked with discipline born from long training. These were not ghosts. These were not myths. These were humans. "Status?" the captain asked. "Shields at full." "Weapons ready," answered Commander Rana, his second in command. "The patrol fleet is gone. No survivors." Ward gave a single nod. "Good. Send the message. It's time." Across the galaxy, on hidden colonies, human survivors received the transmission. For generations, they had lived in silence, hiding their numbers, pretending to be broken. But now, every colony heard the captain's words. "This is Captain Ward of the human fleet. We are alive. We are united. The time has come to rise." On a frozen world where families had built homes in caves, people cheered and cried. On a desert moon where scavengers had lived off scraps, the young raised their fists to the sky. On an asteroid station where old veterans had whispered bedtime stories about Earth, the survivors stood tall again. The dreadnoughts were not just machines, they were guardians, waiting until humanity was ready to return. And now, humans stood at their helms, guiding them with flesh and blood. Back in the alien empire, shock turned to dread. The news spread faster than light. There are humans inside the dreadnoughts. Council chambers erupted in terror. "This cannot be. We destroyed them all. They hid. They tricked us. If they survived, they will never forgive us." And they were right. Captain Ward stood before his crew, his voice heavy with memory. "They burned our world. They laughed as Earth turned to ash. They called us weak, fragile, broken. But we endured. We learned. And now, we carry the strength of Deathworld steel and Deathworld hearts. We will not hide anymore." The crew pounded their fists on their consoles in silent agreement. Humanity had waited for centuries. Now they had their chance. The dreadnoughts moved together, no longer scattered or silent. They formed into a fleet, black giants lined against the stars. The sight of them was enough to terrify any who watched. Alien scouts who caught a glimpse of the human fleet did not stay to fight. They ran. But the images they carried back were enough, images of massive war titans, carrying banners of a forgotten world. The humans had returned as an army. And their strategy was precise. They did not attack blindly. They struck key targets, shipyards, communication hubs, supply lines. Every move weakened the empire and spread fear. On one world, an alien governor begged for mercy, offering surrender before a single shot was fired. Captain Ward responded with cold words. "You gave no mercy to Earth. Do not expect it from us." The dreadnought fired. The city was gone in an instant. The message was clear. Humanity did not forgive. But humanity was not only about vengeance. On the colony worlds they freed, humans delivered supplies, medicine, and protection. Survivors from scattered colonies were united, brought aboard the Titans, given weapons and training. For the first time in centuries, humanity was not hiding. It was building. Children who had grown up in fear now learned to march under banners of war. Farmers became soldiers. Mechanics became engineers of destruction. And the dreadnoughts became not only weapons but symbols. Every human survivor who saw them felt the same truth: we are not alone anymore. Meanwhile, alien broadcasts filled the stars. Do not resist the humans. They are unstoppable. Entire fleets vanish before them. Hide your families, the Deathworlders have returned. The fear was so strong that even neutral civilizations, who once ignored the war, began to tremble. For centuries, humans had been a forgotten footnote in history. Now, they were a storm rewriting the galaxy's future. Inside the command deck of Orion, Captain Ward looked at the star map. His eyes locked on the Empire's capital, the very heart of the enemy who had once tried to erase his people. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly. Commander Rana leaned closer. "The Council knows fear now. But soon, they will know despair." The captain gave a small nod. "Prepare the fleet. The next strike will show the galaxy what it means to face humanity." Outside, the dreadnoughts aligned, engines glowing like red suns in the void. One by one, they jumped to new coordinates, spreading terror with every arrival. The humans were no longer whispers in the dark. They were no longer prey hiding in the shadows. They had returned. And the galaxy would never forget their name again. The alien empire had reached its breaking point. Colony after colony burned. Fleets vanished. Governors sent desperate messages to the capital: "We cannot stop them. The humans are unstoppable." The High Council met in panic. Their voices shook with fear, but their pride still burned. "We cannot surrender to a dead race," one shouted. "If we lose now, the Empire itself will collapse," another cried. Finally, the High Commander rose, his claws slamming the table. "Then we give them everything we have. Every ship, every gun, every soldier. We end this threat now, or we die." The order was given. From every sector, fleets were summoned. Carriers, battleships, cruisers, swarms of drones, an armada unlike anything seen before. Tens of thousands of ships gathered near the capital world, their combined firepower enough to shatter moons. The aliens called it the final wall. They waited, weapons ready, shields bright as suns. And soon, the humans came. From the void, black shadows emerged. The dreadnoughts. Each the size of a city, engines burning red, their armor scarred but unbroken. They did not come alone. Smaller human warships, built in secret by hidden colonies, followed in formation. For the first time in centuries, humanity had a fleet. The alien commander raised his voice across the comms. "Deathworlders, you face the might of the Empire. You will be erased once and for all." But the human reply was calm, cold, and steady. Captain Ward's voice carried across the stars. "You tried once before. You failed. Now, it is your turn to face judgment." And the battle began. The alien fleet opened fire first. Tens of thousands of plasma bolts streaked across the void. Torpedoes, missiles, energy beams, all crashing forward like a storm. The night sky lit up with fire. But the dreadnoughts did not break. Their shields absorbed the first wave, glowing bright with power. Their armor held strong, black steel forged on deathworlds that no alien could endure. Then the dreadnoughts answered. One by one, their main cannons roared. Beams of red energy, thick as rivers, cut through space. Entire enemy formations vanished in seconds. A single shot from Orion destroyed 50 ships in a line, leaving only fire and debris. Alien crews screamed as their fleets began to fall apart. But still they fought. Swarms of drones hurled themselves at the dreadnoughts, trying to overwhelm them. Fighters dived like insects, firing every weapon they had. The humans fought back with precision. Railguns tore through swarms like rain through dust. Missiles locked on and exploded across the battlefield, shattering carriers and burning cruisers. But the aliens had numbers. For every fleet destroyed, more ships surged forward. The humans were surrounded, the sky filled with fire. Even the Dreadnoughts shook under the storm of weapons. Inside Orion, alarms blared. Commander Rana shouted, "Shields dropping! Heavy fire on the port side!" Captain Ward stood firm. "Hold the line! Push forward! Break their heart!" The Dreadnoughts pressed into the center of the alien armada, their massive forms cutting through waves of enemy ships. The galaxy's greatest fleet could not stop them, but it could bleed them. For every 100 alien ships destroyed, a human escort was lost. The battlefield became a graveyard of burning wrecks. The aliens tried one last move. They activated their planetary spear, a massive cannon built into their capital world. Its charge lit the skies, a beam powerful enough to kill even a dreadnought. The Council cheered. At last, the humans will fall. But Captain Ward saw it coming. His voice rang out, "All ships, cover Orion. Prepare the counterstrike." The dreadnoughts shifted, their shields overlapping. Orion's core cannon began to charge, glowing brighter than a star. Energy poured into the weapon, building until the entire battlefield shook. The planetary spear fired. A beam of white fire cut across space, slamming into Orion's shields. The dreadnought trembled, its armor cracking, alarms screaming. For a moment, it seemed the humans would fall. Then Orion fired back. Its main cannon unleashed a wave of crimson energy so massive that it split the darkness in two. The beam struck the planetary spear, tearing through its core. The weapon exploded, and with it, the heart of the alien fleet. Shockwaves tore through space. Alien ships were ripped apart. The dreadnoughts advanced, cutting down what was left of the Empire's Grand Armada. Minutes later, silence returned. The battlefield was a graveyard, lit only by burning wrecks. Tens of thousands of alien ships were gone. The final wall had fallen. On the capital world, the Council watched in horror. Their greatest fleet, their ultimate weapon, had been destroyed by a handful of human titans. Captain Ward's voice carried once more across the stars. "Your fleets are ash. Your walls are broken. Humanity has returned, and we will not stop." The galaxy heard his words. Allies, enemies, and neutrals alike trembled. The humans had fought the greatest armada in history and won. But for Captain Ward and his crew, this was not victory. Not yet. The capital still stood. The rulers who had burned Earth still lived. And humanity would not rest until they were gone. The galactic battle was over. The final judgment was about to begin. The Empire's capital world was silent. Its skies, once filled with proud banners and bright fleets, now held only shadows. The wreckage of their armada drifted in orbit, broken and burning. And beyond the debris, the human dreadnoughts waited. Every citizen on the planet looked upward in fear. Families huddled in shelters. Soldiers stood at their posts, but their hands shook. The council chamber, once filled with arrogance, now echoed with despair. The High Council sat together, pale and silent. For centuries, they had ruled the galaxy without challenge. But now, their fleets were gone, their weapons shattered, and the humans stood above them like executioners. At last, one counselor spoke. "Open a channel. We must beg for peace." The order was given. Across space, the message went out. "Unknown fleet, phantom humans, we surrender. Spare us. The Empire will pay whatever price you demand." For a long moment, there was no answer. Only static. Then a human voice filled the chamber, calm and cold. "This is Captain Elias Ward, commander of the human fleet." The counselors trembled. The humans were real. Not machines. Not myths. Flesh and blood. Captain Ward's words cut like a blade. "You burned Earth. You slaughtered our people. You thought we would vanish. But we endured. We built our dreadnoughts in silence, and now we have returned." One alien lord shouted in desperation. "It was war. It was long ago. Spare us, and we will give you peace." Ward's tone grew harder. "Peace? You gave us none. You showed no mercy. Now, the same mercy will be shown to you." The council collapsed into chaos. Some shouted to fight, others begged for mercy, but it no longer mattered. The humans had already chosen. In orbit, the dreadnoughts aligned. Their weapons glowed crimson, charging with a deadly light. Entire continents below were illuminated by the glow of human vengeance. On the planet's surface, the people screamed. Some prayed. Others tried to flee. But there was no escape. The shadow of the Dreadnoughts covered the world like a storm cloud. The counselors fell to their knees. One raised his claws to the sky. "Spare the innocent! Spare the children!" But Captain Ward's reply was final. "There are no innocents in an empire built on blood. This is judgment." The order was given. The Dreadnoughts fired. Beams of red fire poured from orbit, crashing into the planet's defenses. Shield grids shattered. Towers melted. The ground itself split apart as fire consumed the capital. The proud palaces of the council crumbled into dust. From space, the entire world glowed. Cities became oceans of flame. Forests burned. Seas boiled. The capital of the empire, once the jewel of the galaxy, was nothing more than ash. The council was gone. The empire's heart was gone. The Dreadnoughts stood in silence above the burning planet. Their cannons dimmed. Their engines hummed low. The battle was over. On Orion's bridge, Captain Ward looked out at the ruined world. His crew waited in silence, not celebrating, not cheering. This was not victory, it was justice. Ward raised his voice, sending a message across every frequency in the galaxy. His words were broadcast to every surviving empire, every colony, every world. Remember this day. Humanity has returned. We are no longer prey. We are no longer forgotten. We are the storm that you created. From now on, no tyrant, no empire, no enemy will erase our name again. His voice echoed across the stars, carried into the hearts of billions. Fear spread through alien rulers. Some shivered in silence. Others began planning desperate alliances. But one truth could not be denied. Humanity was back. And they were stronger than anyone had imagined. The Dreadnoughts did not stay. One by one, their engines flared, and they vanished into the black. No trace left behind, only silence and the burning wreckage of the Empire's once great capital. The galaxy stared into the void, waiting, dreading, wondering, where would the humans strike next? The war was not over. It had only begun. Because the age of Deathworlders had arrived.